In this video, we're going to focus on creating a hover effect when we are on the chart area with our mouse. But the moment we move away from it, it disappears. So to start off, to create those markers on display when we hover them, we first need to have a border template. I have here my border template and I already converted the chart into a bar chart. But this border template can be found here on this link, chartjs3.com, getting started. You can find this link in the description box. And then once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code. Next, if you want to have the source code of this video and of many of my other videos, check out my Patreon here. You can find it on patreon.com/chartjs. You can support my channel. Alright, we have this here now. What I want to do now is I want to scroll down and create a new plugin. And this plugin will basically do the following. Well, we're going to give it a name, plugins, and then we're going to say here hover marker, because we want to trigger it only on hover. I want to copy this, and then what I want to do here is create here // we say this the plugin block, and then we're going to start with it. We say here constant equals, and then here we give it an ID of hover marker, comma, and then we have two parts. We have one part where we want to draw the element, but the second part is the event handling. So what I want to do now is I want to first jump to the second part, which is the event handling, because normally drawing the item should come first. But the event handling must be first registered, meaning that if I hover here with my mouse, immediately it triggers it. It understands what's going on and triggers the drawing of the item. So what I'm going to say here, first of all, it's going to say events, and then we say here mouse move. And we're going to use mouse move instead of hover, because hover would indicate hovering on the canvas. I don't want to hover on the canvas. Now I want to mouse move when we are within this area here, which we call the chart area. So that's a very important distinction here. So then what I'm going to do is put a comma, and we're going to start to say the following. We're going to say after event, and then what I'm going to do here is say chart, comma, arcs. And so basically we have the arguments and the chart object. And what I want here now is to start working on this. So what we're going to do here in the after event, we're going to explore, can we trigger the mouse move? And if we can, we want to console log or show first a value of yes, and else it is not there, something like that. So if we only trigger that one. So what we're going to do here is the following. To get the item, what we have to do here is basically explore the arcs, which is the arguments. So if I save this here now, refresh, open up developer tab, and then if I hover over, you can see already it starts to trigger. Are we in the chart area? This is very important. We need to know if we are in the chart area. Once we know we are in the chart area, we want to do something. So let's start to work on that. So we have this here, and then what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to say here if, and we're going to say here if arcs, then we say dot in chart area. And if you're wondering where I'm getting that, you can see it here, chart area. Then if this is the case, in that case what I want to say here, console log, and then yes. So then if I refresh, go in there, we see yes, there we are. And then if not, I guess, and else, we're going to say console log no. So that should already give us a certain idea. So if we move out, as you can see here, it understands this. So these two are basically two independent events. One is when we move in there, and one is when we move out. So now we have this logic here, but this logic of course is not really fully correct, but we have most of it. What I need to do here is I want to draw a shape here, and we have to get that shape or that rectangle that I want as a constant here above. So this is what we call hoisting. We're going to put a value somewhere else, and let's make sure it must be a let value, because we are going to reassign the value afterwards. And basically this here will be shown if it is in the chart area and else not. So now we have this here. What I'm going to do now is we're going to say here if, and let's put this first here. We're going to say the no, because later on we have to work on the yes case. So if I'm going to say here, if not in the chart area, and we did not assign any rect value, because here this is the rectangle that we want to assign a value to, or we have a rectangle but we have no value to it, or if there would be any value, we must remove that value from it, so it will disappear again. So what I'm going to do here, enter, and then I'm going to say here the rectangle will be equal to undefined, meaning it will just disappear from the canvas, because we have to make sure when we're out of the canvas or out of the chart area, then at that moment the rectangle needs to disappear. And if this is the case, what I'm going to say here, and this is very important, we have here something, it's called args, and then it says changed, and you cannot see it here, but we'll be needing this here. Let's say here, args dot changed, set on true. What this does is it will start to reload a certain part, because this will just jump later on into another part of it. So this is because we were, as I said, as I indicated previously, that this is the second part and this is the first part of drawing. This is just only triggering the event. It doesn't draw here. Very important to understand this. So once we have this, then we have, of course, the else if for another case. And in this case, we're going to do, quite simply, the items. But now what I want to say here, if there's no rectangle, alright, but, or and, we are inside of the chart area. I guess we can just do it like that. We're inside the chart area and there's no rectangle. I want to assign a rectangle. So what I'm going to do here, because we are, and the reason why you say why is there no rectangle, because if we're moving out, rectangles being undefined, or the rect, which we still didn't give values, so we're going to put now the values in here. So what I'm going to say here, in that case, I'm going to get this rect and give this a value, but this is just an object. I'm going to give this an object, and in this here, the object will say x value, and then we can do here, let's say 100, comma, y value 100, comma, the width would be 100, and the height can be 100. So we have a nice well, not even rectangle, square in this case. So once we did that, I want to say here args.change equals true. We always want to change it. So if I save this now, and I'm going to grab this here and put this one here on yes, save, refresh, we have like all these items. Let me just remove the console log. This, save, refresh. So yes, no, yes, no. Alright, so now we have this correctly, and we have all these values here. And the reason I'm doing this, because we're going to make another function just here below. So this is the first, or basically the second part. This is the second part. Now, let's work on the first part. And of course, I cannot put a let value in this function or in the current function I'm going to do here. And this is first part, because I need this one to be communicated to both events or functions. So what I'm going to do here is, now I'm going to say here, when would we like to draw the rectangle? We want to draw them before we draw the data set, so it will be behind this line instead of on top of it. So we say here, before data sets draw. And then we're going to say here, chart and arcs, maybe plugins, although we don't really need this one. Then what I'm going to do here, make sure you have a comma here. I'm going to start to draw the item. So what I want to do here now, in this case, if rec, because this rec here is from here with all the information, and then we'll trigger this one here, and I'm going to say here, if the rectangle, alright, then what I want to do is, first of all, I'm going to say the object destructuring. Let's see, where do we have the object destructuring here? I guess we don't have it here, so we can just put it here above. We're going to say here, this equals that. And if you don't know what an object destructuring is, make sure you watch my video understanding Chart.js object destructuring. All I need in this case is the CTX to have the ability to draw on the canvas. And which canvas exactly? The canvas that we're on, which is representing this here. So what I want to do now is I'm going to say CTX.save to save all variables above, or to save our default variables. And then what I want to do here now is first give it a color. Let's say ctx.fill_style equal. I'm going to say here RGBA, and I'm going to use the official Chart.js color 102, 102, 102. And then let's say here 0.2 for the transparency, so it's 80% transparency and 20% visibility. So you have this nice gray color that Chart.js uses very often. Next, what I want to do here now is to create the rectangle. So I'm going to say ctx.fill rectangle. And in here, what I want to do is I want to get the values. And remember this hoisting here. This hoisting has this data in here. Very important. This data is eventually the coordinates of here, where we have the x value, the y value, the width, and the height. So what I'm going to do here is basically say here rectangle, and we can say a dot. And then we have that, and then we have here for the y, we have rectangle dot, and then we have here for the width, maybe we can just do a w here and the h for now. Later on I'm going to assign proper values. Rectangle width and rectangle dot height. Once we did this, I'm going to say ctx.restore to undo everything if ever. Alright, so this is very important. Let's save that. Refresh. So now if I hover over, there we are. We have now a working model, but of course you might say, well, this is not really what I want. I want to start from Wednesday to Friday. Just only draw it here. So what I'm going to do now is let's assign proper values to this. So we can do here, I guess here for the y, we can start at the very top of the chart area. So to get the very top of the chart area, I guess we can do here an object destructuring as well. Did I have that here? I realized that I don't have any object destructuring here, so I'm going to do that as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this, do another one here below. And then what I want to do here is I want to get the chart area data. If you don't know what I'm talking about with chart area, please watch my video. It's also in the description box, understanding the chart area in Chart.js. Very useful to know. I'm going to say here the top, and maybe we need the bottom, and maybe we need the height. And then the height would be basically from top to bottom. Anyway, the y should be at the very top. So if I save this right now and refresh and move over, you can see now it hits the top. I want to hit now the very bottom. So how do we do that? Not the bottom, but I need to get the height of it. So the height is in here. Save that, refresh. There we are. Alright, so we're almost done now. And we want to start at Wednesday and end at Friday. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to use a built-in functionality for this. I'm going to say here, Chart.js has this very nice item here. We say x dot. And I realized before we even can use this x dot, I need to have here the scale being recognized. So I say scales, look at the x and maybe the y scale as well. I don't know. I think we don't need it, but just in case. The reason I need the x is for here to use this functionality. So the x dot get pixel for value. And what I want to do is, if I want to start at Wednesday, let's do it like that, from Wednesday, so I need index 0 to 1, 2. So index number 2. So I'm going to say here, we're going to start there. If I save this, refresh, you will see here, there we are. And now I want to hit it all the way to Friday. So what I'm going to do here, copy this. And then I'm going to say here for the width, we have this one. You might say, well, alright, we just need to have number 5, but that's not the case. And the reason why, it will calculate the starting point from here all the way to there. So what I need to do is number 5 minus number 2, so it calculates the difference between them. So I said here minus our starting point. Save, refresh. There we are. Oh, I wanted it on number 5. That was not correct. I want to have number 4 here. Remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Friday is the 4th of the index. Save, refresh. There we are, and now we have this nice rectangle showing on Hoover.